Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about the Supreme Court of the United States and expanding confidence in the Supreme Court by, expanding the Supreme Court. Democratic lawmakers in both the House and the Senate have introduced legislation, I should say reintroduced legislation, that would expand the Supreme Court by 4 seats, bringing the total of number of justices up to 13, which happens to be the same number as the number of federal appellate courts. So it makes sense. Okay. Now, the motivations for this are pretty clear. There's the constant string of ethical questions coming out of the Supreme Court. There are unique rulings that do not align with the history of the court. There's the partisan aspect, which basically says that unless something drastic happens, the current far-right majority will retain control until about 2065. But there's another reason why this might go further than you might imagine. According to recent polling, only 18% of Americans have a great deal of confidence in the Supreme Court. Only 12% of women. Can't imagine why. 46% say they have only some confidence, and 36% say they have hardly any. A third of the country has hardly any confidence in what is supposed to be a respected court, the highest court in the land. That's a problem when it comes to legitimacy. Under normal circumstances, in a normal period of American history, I would say there's no way this is going to go anywhere, because people in D.C. are very much entrenched in tradition and institutions. But the reality is, one political party has attacked those institutions repeatedly. And sometimes the only way to protect an institution is to alter it a little bit. And I have a feeling there's going to be more support for this than I think people are imagining right now. I don't foresee this going through anytime soon. But I would imagine that there will be a lot of people that are running in 2024 that will have to make a statement on how they plan on voting on it. And I think that those who say they will vote to expand the Supreme Court will probably get a more positive response. When you are talking about numbers like this, more than a third of the country, hardly any confidence, that's a problem. And it might also be something that motivates people. Generally speaking, something like this, I would say, is a messaging vote. And I generally don't like those. In this case, it's probably something that needs to be done. It's also probably something that the majority of Americans want done. And while the Republican Party is going to fight this tooth and nail, if this turns into a campaign issue, it could be a very unifying thing for a party that has a hard time unifying. The Democratic Party can use this as a campaign issue, something that everybody in the country can get behind. Every Democratic candidate can say, I'm going to vote to expand the Supreme Court. And it's likely to energize a lot of people, not just those that you're imagining. I mean, there are the obvious demographics, those that are in favor of gun control, okay? based on the fact that there is an expectation of this court controlling those decisions until 2065. Those people who want gun control, they would get behind that. Those people who want reproductive rights would get behind that. Conservationists would get behind that. Younger people who are having their rights constantly attacked by the Republican Party would get behind that. This is something that, honestly, the Democratic Party needs. The odd thing is, I don't think that's why it's being proposed. This is something that those who want to reform the court have been talking about for almost a decade, at least since 2016. So I don't actually think that has anything to do with it. But realistically, this time it's probably going to fail. It will probably fail. But if they keep bringing it up, it's something that might motivate the American people to give the Democratic Party a majority in the House and the Senate so it can pass. Because right now, I mean, let's say it with me, the justice system is broke. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.